We've all been there, right? It's exam season, the late nights are piling up, and you've got that nagging feeling that you should be studying even more. But what if the secret wasn't about studying harder, but about studying, well, smarter? Today, we're going to dive into the real science of learning and build a playbook, backed by evidence, to help you absolutely conquer your exams. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the science of how your brain actually learns. Then we'll cover how to get your body and brain physically ready for peak performance. From there, it's all action. A concrete 5-day plan, a guide to mastering the last 24 hours, and finally, some killer strategies for the test itself. Let's do this. All right, the first and honestly most important thing we need to tackle is a total mindset shift. It's about letting go of the old study habits that feel productive and embracing the strategies that science shows are way, way more powerful. This slide really breaks it down. On the left, you've got what we call passive learning. Rereading your notes, highlighting half the textbook. It feels like you're working hard, but it creates what psychologists call an illusion of competence. You recognize the material, sure, but you can't actually pull it out of your head when it counts. On the right, that's active learning. It's all about forcing your brain to retrieve information, which builds the strong mental connections you'll need under pressure. And this right here is the engine of all effective studying, active recall. The best way to think about it is like a workout for your brain. Every single time you force yourself to remember something without looking at your notes, you're basically doing a rep. It's that effort, that little struggle, that makes the memory stronger and easier to access the next time you need it. So, how do we actually do active recall? Well, here are 3 powerhouse methods. Spaced repetition is designed to fight your brain's natural desire to forget things over time. The Feynman technique. Oh, this one is genius. If you can't explain a complex idea in simple terms, you don't really get it yet. And self-quizzing, that's the ultimate dress rehearsal for the real thing. All of these create what are called desirable difficulties. They make learning a bit harder in the moment, but that's what locks it in for the long term. But here's the catch. You can have the best study techniques in the world, but they'll completely fall flat if the organ doing all the work, your brain, isn't properly taken care of. The foundation for all this mental heavy lifting is, believe it or not, physical. Get this, 73%. Your brain is literally mostly water, and the research is crystal clear. Even being just a little bit dehydrated can absolutely tank your attention, your memory, and your focus. So keeping that water bottle next to you, it's not just a suggestion, it's a non-negotiable study tool. Seriously. Okay, it's time to officially bust the myth of the all-nighter. Sleep isn't a luxury you can skip. It's when your brain does some of its most critical work. While you're sleeping, your brain is busy consolidating memories. It's taking everything you learned during the day and filing it away in long-term storage. Pulling an all-nighter is like spending hours downloading a file and then just hitting the delete key right before you save. And just like a high-performance car needs high-performance fuel, so does your brain. Loading up on sugary snacks might give you a quick buzz, but the crash that follows is brutal. Instead, you want to focus on foods that provide stable, long-lasting energy. Think lean proteins, healthy fats like avocados and nuts, and complex carbs. This is the stuff that will keep you sharp and prevent that dreaded afternoon brain fog. And finally, you gotta get moving. You don't need to run a marathon, but exercise boosts blood flow to the brain, which is huge for learning and memory. A quick 20-minute walk isn't procrastination. Think of it as a strategic reset button for your mind. It can slash your stress and make your next study session way more effective. Okay, so we've covered the science and we've covered the biology. Now let's get down to business. We're gonna look at a super practical, actionable plan from Cornell's Learning Strategy Center. This thing is designed to completely eliminate cramming for good. Here's how it works. First, you take everything you need to know and break it into 4 manageable chunks. On day 1, you just focus on preparing chunk A. On day 2, you prepare B, but you also do a quick review of A. Day 3, you prepare C and review B and A. See the pattern? You're layering new information while constantly circling back to the older stuff. This is spaced repetition baked right into a schedule. And here's the why behind it all. Your brain just wasn't built for those 8-hour marathon cram sessions. When you spread your learning out over several days, you give your brain time to consolidate those memories while you sleep. It makes every minute you spend studying so much more effective. Remember, study in focused sprints, not one long, exhausting marathon. All right, now we're in the home stretch, the last 24 hours. This is a super critical time, but its purpose is so often misunderstood. This is not about cramming new info. Let me say that again. This is not for cramming. It's all about consolidating what you know, calming your nerves, and walking in there with confidence. The goal here is simple. Eliminate any possible stress on the morning of the exam. Get your bag packed with everything you need, set 3 alarms if you have to, do one last light review of your summary sheets, and then put the books away. Give your brain some time to switch off before you get that all-important night of sleep. On exam morning, you have to fuel your brain for a marathon. A balanced meal with some protein and complex carbs will give you that sustained energy you need to stay focused for 2 or 3 hours straight. Whatever you do, avoid the sugary cereal or that heavy, greasy breakfast that'll have you crashing halfway through question 5. Okay, the moment of truth. You've done the prep, you're rested, you're fueled up. Now it's all about execution. Knowing the material is half the battle for sure, but knowing how to strategically navigate the test itself, that's what can separate a good grade from a truly great one. For any essay exam, this slide is pure gold. Probably the most common mistake students make is not answering the actual question being asked. You have to pay super close attention to these task words. If it says analyze, it doesn't mean summarize. If it asks you to contrast, don't just compare. Understanding exactly what the grader is looking for is a huge part of the battle. When it comes to multiple choice questions, strategy is everything. Here's a great tactic. Try to answer the question in your own head before you even look at the options. That way, you won't get tricked by answers that sound plausible but are wrong. Always eliminate the options you know for sure are incorrect. It just increases your odds. And be really suspicious of answers that use absolute words like always or never. They're almost always a trap. And what happens when you hit that wall? That moment of panic when your brain just freezes? First of all, it's normal. It happens to everyone. The key is not to spiral. Just stop. Close your eyes. Take 1 or 2 slow, deep breaths. This literally resets your nervous system. Remind yourself, I've got this, and then get back to it. This all leads to one of the most powerful psychological tools you have, something called self-efficacy. It's a fancy term, but it just means having a genuine belief in your own ability to succeed. And here's the great news. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build, one piece at a time, through practice. This is exactly how you build that confidence. Think of it as a loop. You try a practice question, you get feedback, maybe you got it right, maybe you got it wrong, it doesn't matter. You learn from it, you adjust your approach, and then you do it again. Every time you go through this cycle, you're not just learning the material, you're proving to yourself that you can handle challenges and figure things out. Getting it wrong isn't failure, it's just data. And that's really the big takeaway here. The strategies we've talked about today, active recall, taking care of your brain, building a solid plan, they go so far beyond this one classroom, this one test. These are the foundational skills for mastering any complex subject you'll ever want to learn in your career and in your life. They're not just exam hacks, they're a toolkit for lifelong learning. So the real question is, how are you going to use them?